All right, welcome in. It's a special episode here of the Mackey and Judd podcast. We're going to catch up with Charles Adams III here, the head coach of the Minneapolis North football team. But we are at SKOR North and on the Mackey and Judd show and Purple Daily too. We're getting behind something that we believe is really important and something that we hope can make a difference in the North Minneapolis community. So Minneapolis North High School has set up a fund that aims to raise scholarship money for the North class of 2024, which would have been Deshaun Hill Jr.'s graduating class. And I know most of you have probably been up to speed on the story, but he was tragically, and I would add the word senselessly, killed earlier this year. And, he's just, when you start to hear descriptions from his friends and family, and I have a quote here just that, that his family described him as an amazing son, brother, friend who touched the lives of everyone that he met with his infectious smile and humble personality. In addition, also being a standout athlete at North. I don't know. It just, if we can help get behind this and help do some good for the North Minneapolis community, the goal of the fund is to establish an initiative that benefits the school, the students, and the community for years to come. So skornorth.com/Hill if you want to donate and help raise some scholarship money for a student or two or 10 for the North class of 2024. Skornorth.com/Hill if you'd like to donate, and we'd love your help. So, Coach Adams, welcome to the show. I feel like we could probably sit here and talk Vikings football, but we'll do that for another time. We'll get you on Purple Daily to make some Vikings predictions. But I think I just want to turn it over to you, and I think it's important that this story isn't just quickly forgotten. I think Deshaun deserves his story to be told, and I mean, quite frankly, I feel like people just move past things so quickly in 2022, and we don't take enough time to reflect and maybe stop to ask what can we do to help or to prevent. So I guess let's just start with, tell our audience, what was Deshaun Hill like as a person, as an athlete? What was he like?
Man, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, and it's always a great thing to be able to talk about, kids that you've been a part of or have influenced in some way. And I don't think there's not definitely not enough time on the show for me to explain how great of a young man Deshaun Hill was. Our hearts are still broken. And like you said, it is senseless, and it's just a situation where it's, every day I'm like, damn, man, this kid is not, he's not with us. Uh, Deshaun was a great kid. One of the only kids that I know when it came to sports that nothing rattled him, nothing. I'm pretty high intensity and want to get the best out of young men, and it was never a moment too big for him. And I think later on you guys will probably see in the show um, how how composed he was as a young man, and that was impressive because you could definitely be thrown off, and you could definitely be put in a position to where things can rattle you. It just wasn't. That's not what his character was. But also, it was just the way that he was able to be a leader without being the loudest person in the room. And I think that was a special thing to where he was able to lead by his actions and people followed. And that was strong. Sometimes just by example, when we always tell people to lead by example, that's what it was. Uh, you know, One of our last coaches meeting, actually the week of when he was killed, we talked about that Monday of like how tough he was because we didn't realize he had been out with the ankle injury, and we thought it was a sprained ankle. And to find out his leg was broken actually.
Wow.
So not only did he come back after 2 weeks, played on it, went to the state tournament on a broken ankle. When we came back to our off-season lift, he's goes to the trainer saying it still doesn't feel right. He go gets the X-ray and find out it was broke. So this kid played the half of a season on a broken leg, and we're like, holy smokes! Like, are you kidding me? And we're like, we, we couldn't even imagine how painful that was. So that really, got us excited and said, this kid, not only has he took it upon himself to be the leader of this team, we look forward to his future. And we're just very excited for, the things that he was going to bring to us and to the school. Great student. I grew up with his parents. His mother and father went to North, and we're really, what I always joke with people about was that he's actually just like his father. His father, we all hung out together. We all did things together. But he never was heard. He was always around and being seen, but never was heard. And kind of, they had the same kind of personality. But him and his mother, they were great. We were all good friends, and we all hung out together in high school. And it was just really, um, I'm really blessed to be able to be in somewhat part of his life. I'm in his family's life.
Yeah. You mentioned the show, and I think the show you're talking about, Showtime, was filming a documentary about. Can you explain that to us? So that they were filming a documentary about, was it the community or the football team, or what was the project?
All of that. I mean, basically, my boys in blue. We wear blue, and it focused. D Hill was one of the focal characters in the some similar to like a Last Chance U or other documentaries, but it definitely focused on the football piece where they follow D Hill and a couple other kids on the team as characters, along with some of our coaches and obviously me, but within the community and just kind of following us through the whole season, the ups and downs of just living in North Minneapolis and trying to do what every other kid wants to do, play football, but the challenges that we have, well, while doing it, and the unique thing about it is, um, you know, and I don't know if most people know, but we have four guys that are police officers on our coaching staff. So they focus on that part, knowing the disconnect between police and community. But we still stick in there to coach our kids, and these kids, we love our kids, and the kids love us. And then also just, letting people know, like, the stuff that not every kid has to go through this stuff that these kids have to go through. Just playing football.
Yeah, I would love to at some point circle back on there's the community and the police and the dynamic in a second, but I think if I could add some commentary here, I remember when this happened, and the family or someone put out a GoFundMe page and was explaining to people, hey, this is who Deshaun was as a person, as a human, and there was a sentence toward the end of sort of explaining what the fund was about, telling people, hey, this isn't just another story of a kid getting swept up in the streets. And a chill kind of went down my spine when I read that, because for anyone to even have to put that in a description is, I mean, listen, I'm a white kid who grew up in the western suburbs of the Twin Cities. Like, at no point would it ever cross anyone's minds that you'd have to explain, now, hey, if a white kid died, this wasn't just someone getting mixed up in the streets of Buffalo, Minnesota, or Minnetonka. Right. The fact that had to be included was, I don't know what the word is, but it just, like I said, sent a chill sort of down my spine. I guess my question to you is, with that in mind, what do you love about the North community? Because like so many times it's people are afraid, or there's misunderstandings about the North community. What's good about the North community? What do you love about the North community?
Me. I mean, me and every kid that is there. I'm a product of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's what makes it so special of being a part of what we're doing, because I'm that kid as well. My father, my uncle, my mom, like, we're Northsiders. Like, this is where we were born and raised from. So it means more to us. When I tell these kids about putting your heart and soul into something, and dedication, whatever, they can understand it because they see the passion, because I lived it as well. I walked the same streets, went to the same stores. We did the same thing that these kids did in that community, worked there, still coached there, everything. I lived it. So it was, I'm a product of it. So we know the success stories coming out of North Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's prideful about it. So that's what continues to drive us. And it's not about, I can honestly go to any community and be a football coach. It's not about that. It's not about the football coach. Because I'm not, I mean, you ask it ain't about me coaching football. It's about me having the relationships with these kids and their families in this community that I was raised in as well. So that's what it is about our program. It's not about, yeah, we're going to win football games. We're going to play football games. It is what it is. But just to have to explain that to people, that's just a fight that we deal with. Having to explain. I know somebody on Twitter said, "Well, we'll see." Was he in the game? No, he wasn't. He wasn't, because not every kid that's in this neighborhood is in the game. So sometimes people are characterized. I was a cop for 20 years. And if you see me on the sideline, half of the people that have played against me probably had no clue that I was cop, and we got cops on our staff. And just because we coach and we live on the north side, you think one thing, which is not what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, again, like the fact that that you get asked that question, right? I mean, that's just it's a gateway question that doesn't exist for a lot of people in the state of Minnesota. What does the North community need? If there's a spotlight on it right now because of what happened with Deshaun Hill Jr. and there are people, whether they're listening to this podcast or whether they're just interested in the news cycle, and you have their ear. How can people help the North community? What's the best thing that people? I mean, obviously, donating to this fund would be great. That'd be awesome. But I mean, independent of that, how can people help? What does the North community need?
I think what we need, besides things that are monetary, anybody can, give us stuff and say, hey, here you go, give you X amount of money and give you equipment or whatever, new uniforms, all that stuff is great. It's nice. I think what we need is help continuing the structure and giving these kids opportunities that they can take and they can last with. Just with my position with the Minnesota Twins, we talked about, it's like, well, what's going to work, what's going to be best for these kids, and giving them something is not what's going to work. We got to give them something that they can use, and stay connected to them and watch them through the process. Whether it's developing scholarship funds to where, how will they do in a few years to help them pay for college, or what kind of programs that we can get them involved into sports in the business side or whatever, or what business programs, keeping them occupied, not just by athletics, but having resources that are from outside of our community to come into our community and help these kids grow to have better futures.
Yeah. People who care. Yeah. You mentioned 20 years on the Minneapolis police force, and you are such a, I feel like, centerpiece for the community, in that you are head football coach. You graduated from North. You're working for the Twins. Minneapolis police force. How would you characterize just the current climate between the police force and the community in North Minneapolis?
I think now, it's definitely been dysfunctional. But I think now it's a situation where, voices are starting to get heard. And it's not about people saying they don't want or they hate. It's like, hey, they want to have a voice at the table. And I understand that. And that's what it is. It's just, the equality and just making sure, they have a voice at the table to make things better. They want to be treated the same way, just like anybody else, for one. And two, just have an opportunity to have a voice at the table to make things better in the community. And I think, with being able to apprehend and find the suspect and then getting him charged was like a collaborative effort, with police and community to get it done quick and right away.
Yeah. How's the football team looking in a few months here?
Well,
You guys are going through a lot this offseason with this.
Yeah.
I know.
I always say, like we kids can never catch a break. Now the teachers are on strike, so the kids are at home. And I told them last week. I said, we're gonna have some spaces for you guys to stay at home. Like if you got to stay, I don't want you guys around and walking the streets. I mean, because people don't understand that like school is like that's a place that they consider being safe at.
Mm-hmm.
So now, not every kid is safe at home. So sometimes kids come to school bright and early because they're safe at school. Not at school, and they're sitting at home and or somewhere they may feel unsafe. So, what I say is that we do have a good group of young kids, younger kids, and juniors for next year that are just passionate and hungry, and now, not that they have a chip on their shoulder, but they really have something to prove because now they're doing it for not only for themselves, but they feel they have to do it for DL, and let alone getting your butt kicked in the state playoffs. That's a nasty taste in your mouth too. So they're really determined to be better this year.
Yeah. And just one more time for the audience, skornorth.com/Hill. If you want to donate $5, donate $5, donate 100, donate 1,000, whatever it is you have, just raising money for scholarships for the North class of 2024. Any other just final thoughts from you about Deshaun Hill, his memory, anything else that you want to say to our audience?
I would just say that and my wife, she makes me she makes me realize this every time there's something about D Hill, that this young man was a wonderful young man. It wasn't about just him being a football player and a quarterback. He was a wonderful young man that was an excellent student, and he's going to be missed. He was a brother, and he was, a wonderful son to a family. But I just want people to not outweigh that. He extracurricular, and he was an athlete, but it was so much more to him. He was an artist. It was so many things that he had going on in his life that made him a great kid. Not just because he was a quarterback at North High, but sometimes people tend to fade away from that Deshaun Hill was just a great kid, and there were so many people lives that he touched in a positive way.
Yeah. Thank you. Charles Adams III, head football coach, Minneapolis North. Thank you for coming on, sharing your thoughts. And
my pleasure.
We'll talk some Vikings here maybe later this offseason. Thank you to everyone who has donated or is thinking about it. SKORNorth.com/Hill. All right, Coach.
Thank you.